So what the hell is going on with Games Workshop? No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the major crisis taking place in Warhammer right now. And that's not Warhammer the Old World, or Age of Sigmar, or Kill Team, or Lord of the Rings, or Horus Heresy, or even Warhammer 40k. I'm talking about all of them. The entire Warhammer hobby, aka the wargaming hobby, but only with Games Workshop products, which is pretty convenient for Games Workshop. And this crisis is a major problem for Games Workshop, so much so that they've actually been forced to acknowledge it, which is a rare feat for a Warhammer crisis. But this issue has become so disastrous that they have been forced to reach into their collective pocket and actually spend millions and millions and millions of British pounds in order to relieve themselves.
Phrasing?
And yet, all those millions are just going to waste, because the problem is a lot worse than they think, and they cannot fix it by simply throwing money at the issue. In fact, as we go on, this problem's gonna get even worse, because there is a dark secret to it, a dark heart to this problem, and beneath all of Warhammer. Okay, so what is this crisis? Well, it's pretty much the biggest problem that any company trying to sell you something can face, edging just ahead of the second biggest problem, which is of course having your CEO be spotted on Epstein Island. Wait, now I know why there's no pictures of Warhammer CEO Kevin Roundtree online. We'd never know if he was there. Sneaky, sneaky. Can I get sued for that speculation? Only one way to find out. But the bigger problem today is that Warhammer product is impossible to buy. And this is a very well documented problem. It's hitting everybody, but especially those mega fans who are trying to keep up with the new releases, or even casuals who are thinking of getting into wargaming and then go to buy product and they find that there's no Warhammer that they actually want to buy in stock. This is a constant problem that we have been grappling with, and it's just not getting any better. In fact, it's getting worse, if anything, which is pretty terrible when already the game is almost impossible to buy for, unless of course you have the reflexes of a teenager closing a browser when the parent walks into the room. Seriously, it's the same thing every single goddamn time. Games Workshop announce a new box set or a miniature that you want, and then you have to wait weeks or months, or I think years in some cases, for it to finally be previewed for release. And then on the day of release, if you're not up at some ungodly hour in the morning ready to pre-order it immediately, then it almost instantly sells out and you're stuck in a limbo waiting for the product to finally be restocked, endlessly refreshing that Warhammer new releases page, only to be greeted with the familiar term temporarily out of stock. Or, alternatively, you place an order with a third party and then a box arrives at your door like 6 months later and you remember, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And all your hype and your enthusiasm for that new product, is gone, having been replaced instead by your new Tillian Ogre Mercenary Army project that you're now building with the War Games Atlantic Landsknecht kit. Just me? Well, maybe the Landsknecht part, but it'll come for you too. But if you don't want to go through all that and you're not buying from third parties, then just forget about it. Warhammer isn't for you. You're completely out of luck, because the Warhammer store takes forever to restock, if they ever do. Now, this used to be a problem that Games Workshop have struggled with in the past, specifically when it came to Warhammer 40k, but now it's affecting everything, every single game, even more niche games like the Old World. I mean, you take a look at the new releases page on their website right now, and all you'll see is temporarily out of stock. You can't buy anything, and that temporarily status, it's more like permanent. For example, I've been waiting on an Old World Witch Hunter for my Cities of Sigmar Empire Tillian Ogre Mercenary Force that I talked about for months now, and it still has not returned. And now there's witches everywhere doing covens and exploring their femininity with lesbian neo-paganism and shit, and nobody's around with a big mustache to stop them. This is a major crisis for Warhammer, and Games Workshop are panicking about it. Not the lesbian neo-paganism stuff, I mean the out-of-stock Warhammer stuff. And the community are outraged about it, both about the Warhammer stock and the lesbian neo-paganism, constantly. Every single week in every single Warhammer community, with every new release, there there are people asking, why can I not buy this thing? Why is all the Warhammer sold out? And look, I personally know people that are just not bothering to get into certain game systems within Warhammer right now because stock is so hard to get and it's extremely uninviting and you can't buy what you want, so why even bother? So why is this happening? What the hell is going on? Well, there are a few reasons for this major problem, and the big one that people love to talk about are scalpers. Scalpers! They are a plague. Every time a new limited sexy release of Warhammer is put up for pre-order, scalpers sweep in and they buy all of them out immediately, causing the product to sell out instantly, and then within minutes, dozens of that exact same pre-order product appear on eBay at a marked up price. Yeah, this infuriates the community. There are constant calls for boycotts of scalpers, big YouTubers actively call them out, and there's endless threads bemoaning their existence every single time a new product is released. But this has all had like zero impact on stock availability. The issue of not being able to buy Warhammer is still a major problem, no matter how much people shout and scream, no matter how much people beg other wargamers to not buy that new limited edition book about how, I don't know, Rugaldorn got his groove back. I assume that's what all the books are about. I don't know, I can't read. And that's because, one, asking people not to buy from scalpers is kind of like asking people to not drink hand sanitizer. There's always gonna be a couple of people who do it, you just have to make your bones with that. And two, scalping isn't even the major reason as to why there's no goddamn Warhammer stock anymore. It's a contributing factor for sure, but in the grand scheme of things, it's just a minor factor. Besides, there just ain't that many scalpers, and yes, they're an obvious thing to blame, and yes, it is really annoying to see something posted up on eBay the second it sells out, but for 300% more dollars. But even when Games Workshop add queues to their store on pre-order dates, or they implement a one product per person policy, stock still runs out unreasonably fast. No, the bigger problem, and the one that Games Workshop officially blame, is that they just don't have enough production capacity in their factory in Nottingham. And okay, to some extent that's true. After all, Games Workshop manufacture all of their Warhammer in the UK, in Nottingham, in a single factory, and I've been there, I've seen it, it's good, but I've seen bigger. But the last few years have seen a massive explosion in Warhammer's popularity globally, which is very cool, very great. But this has put massive pressure on that one little old factory, and Games Workshop know this. So what have they done? They've spent millions of pounds building more factories, they're getting approval for even more, and they're talking about it a lot in their big massive annual reports. Huzzah! Problem solved, right? Well, the community is very hopeful that this will indeed resolve the stock issues that Games Workshop have been having, and Games Workshop seem to be pretty optimistic about it. And honestly, for that reason, that's why this huge issue hasn't boiled over into a complete scandal just yet, because people are very understanding of a physical problem like this. They get it. And the community at large just think that there is hope on the horizon. Yeah, well, there's no hope coming. Sorry. A new factory isn't going to solve this problem, because as much as this scarcity of Warhammer product has annoyed and angered the community, and it has to some extent panicked Games Workshop, they would prefer more people to be able to get their hands on their products. The dark secret is that this Warhammer scarcity is entirely on purpose. See, Games Workshop are pretty open about relying on a scarcity model for selling Warhammer. Between limited edition box sets and tiny pre-order windows, they love making products scarce. The entire Warhammer business model is super reliant on this. It's super reliant on hype. Every single week, we are constantly swarmed with tons of new miniatures, new news, new reasons to get excited. Hell, just this week, there was a massive show of new miniatures. So, you know, time to get excited. Time to buy the new Warhammer. Except, you have to be on time, because if you're not, then you will miss out. You will miss out. If you're not awake on Saturday morning at 3 a.m. or 9 a.m. or whatever it is, I'm never up before 7 o'clock in the evening, then you will miss out. And so what happens is, everybody wakes up and gets onto the store at the same time. This business model funnels all of the Warhammer sales at one, new product, and two, all at once. New product, all at once. This is a combination I like to call the devil's hand job. Because sure, Games Workshop get that all over the place as a result of it. They get a lot of sales, they sell out a product that looks great for investors, they make a whole shit ton of cash, infuse all that cash right into them. But there is a twist to this, because the satanic organic semen that they're playing with is loaded with Asmodean AIDS. That's right, AIDS. It's back and it means business because Games Workshop are messing with the primal forces of nature. And I won't have it because this is an unnatural demand that is manufactured, managed, maintained, and multiplied by Games Workshop, and it is the type of unnatural demand that leads to the destruction of entire industries because, of course, Games Workshop has no stock in. They cannot keep up with this demand. Of course they can't. No one could. If Toilet Roll couldn't survive when there was a single panic, then obviously Warhammer won't survive when there's a new limited edition Space Marine Lieutenant. This is how economic depressions happen, people. Except Games Workshop in this case is the bank screaming out to you every Sunday, we're gonna run out of money this afternoon. Best come down and get yours before it's all gone. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Games Workshop are running out of stock because they cannot keep up with the insane demand that they themselves have manufactured. They are the victims of their own success and the community are suffering for it. And it has created a massive knock-on effect on the rest of Warhammer. Not even the games outside of these bizarre pre-order windows and limited edition releases are feeling the knock-on effects because Games Workshop are just doing everything they can to keep up with their relentless, insane release cycle. So yes, for Games Workshop, building another factory or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 will help keep up, but that is a very, very long-term solution that will take years to come to fruition. And if Warhammer keeps growing, then it won't keep up at all. They will not keep up with the insane cycles, even if they build 100 more factories. Have you seen people who like Space Marines? You think they're gonna stop? No. If Games Workshop wanted to actually fix this problem, then they have a simple solution available to them. Reduce the number of limited editions that they sell. Stop relying so much on FOMO and do more print-to-order runs. That is what they would genuinely do if they wanted to help the community, undermine scalpers, and ultimately get more people into playing the game, which is what I've always been about on this channel. And it seems like somewhere Games Workshop focus went elsewhere. I think as the stock went up higher, they thought, screw it, let's just keep selling models at more and more prices. Something that I will always argue against. If you want to support that, subscribe to the channel or check out my Patreon. So yes, obviously, Games Workshop, they get a benefit from the scarcity model. It creates a bunch of cash for them all at once. And you can see it in their stock returns. As they have implemented this limited edition box set release schedule, they've been making a lot of money. But they are playing with fire on this for as long as it continues. Because as time goes on, people are being forced to go elsewhere to get their hobby outlet. And look, I'm gonna do something that I don't do very often here. I'm not someone who often says this, but sometimes 3D printer does indeed go burr. But look, okay, I don't think the Games Workshop will be replaced by 3D printing anytime soon. Hell, until very recently, I never believed that 3D printing would even be a major competitor to Games Workshop within the next 10 years. It's too onerous, it takes a long time, you have to deal with toxic chemicals, there's a lot of downsides to 3D printing. However, that is going away. I've been working with my Bamboo Lab A1 Mini lately to print out miniatures. I'm trying it out with miniatures and bits lately, and goddamn, they're starting to look really good. FDM printing is really coming along. Now, this video isn't sponsored by Bamboo Lab, though I do have an affiliate link below, but I've just been honestly taken by how easy it is to print out FDM models. Every single time something is out of stock, I've just been printing a model of it on my FDM printer. It takes place like over a couple hours. It's been a crazy surprise to me. I mean, look at this thing. This was printed on an FDM. It looks better than some resin miniatures. It certainly looks better than some of those old world miniatures. This is incredible. And I really do think that this is going to be the future of wargame. I think any serious wargamer these days should be looking into buying an FDM printer. It's just so goddamn good. Again, this video is not sponsored by Bamboo Lab, but I think that this is going to become a genuine threat to Games Workshop very soon. And I think that people who haven't tried FDM printing just do not realize how easy this is. And as these printers get cheaper and easier to use, and the supply issues for Warhammer grow deeper and more problematic, because I think the Games Workshop are gonna keep doubling down on this scarcity model, the future could be pretty dark for Warhammer, but pretty great for wargame hobbyists. So to avert this problem, Games Workshop need to be careful. They need to keep their stock up and pull back on the FOMO gas, because continuing to push the sales model is just going to really hurt them, and more hobbyists are going to turn to alternatives. And in the meantime, who knows how many hobbyists are dropping out of the wargame hobby or just not getting into it at all, because the biggest gateway into the hobby, Games Workshop, keeps refusing to stock product that hobbyists want. I mean, I know that I've stepped back from the old world as a result. Oh, and come join me at Compulsion, taking place on April 12th to the 13th in Edinburgh, where I will be on a few panels talking about the past and future of the RPG hobby. And please check out my Patreon to help support this channel as I fight for wargame hobbyists. It's only with your assistance that I can actually make this content and make these points to a broader audience. You'll get access to Discord, live streams, wargame content, and even access to a free horror miniatures game. I hope to see you there, and a massive thanks to my patrons, especially Crypto Kev. Thanks so much. I'll catch you all next time. Bye bye.